Hello, today my colleagues Sergio Sanabria and Santiago Gaitan are going to talk about an issue that affects the agricultural and farming community, which is soil erosion. We are going to talk about an invisible challenge facing our Colombian countryside, a silent enemy that advances relentlessly. Soil erosion is not a distant problem. It is really that affects us all. Every decision we make in the countryside, in the city, or from the government can make the difference between a fertile future and a country with a depleted land. Imagine that the soil beneath our feet is slowly disappearing without us noticing. In Colombia, erosion is advancing silently, with more than 18% of the land in Cundinamarca is already affected. This not only means less agricultural production, but also a decrease in farmers' incomes and a huge risk to our food security. Today, we will talk about his phenomenon, which is exacerbated by our own actions, forcing us to think about how we care for the earth in order to protect it. Because this is not just an environment act, it is duty to future generations.
First, we need to provide some general context about what is and why. The problem is important. First, what is soil erosion? We can summarize it by saying that is the loss of the superficie layer that contains all the nutrients necessary for crops. So why it is important to take into account that this is a real problem that is happening? It's basic because without a fertile soil, agriculture is compromised, ecosystems are altered, and elements such as water can also become contaminated. In countries like Colombia, which is considered an agriculture and megadiverse territory, one of its main economic goals is to export all the products that are grown here. Why can we so why can we say that it affects a large part of the territory? Iran has an approximate figure that about 14% of all Colombia territory has some type of erosion. Why can we say that it affects a large part of the territory? Iran has an approximate figure that about 14% of all Colombia territory has some type of erosion, which means that thousands of hectares are being, which means that thousands of hectares are being affected and cannot be used for cultivation. Specifically speaking about the soil of Cundinamarca and the Bogota Sabana, the area being the area where different species of flowers are most cultivated and produced in the country, has about 18% erosion through. Specifically speaking about the soil of Cundinamarca and the Bogota Sabana, the latter being the area where different species of flowers are most cultivated and produced in the country, has about 18% erosion through the east territory, meaning losses that many farmers cannot generate an economic livelihood to subsist, thus affecting Colombia's overall economy.
After everything we have seen, it is clear that soil erosion has not technical problem, but rather a challenge that affects our economy, our society, and above all, our future. Caring for the land cannot continue to be optional. It is a duty we owe to ourselves and to future generations. And what can we do? Some solutions are in our own hands, such as promoting good agricultural practice like crop rotations, responsible use of agricultural inputs, and planting living barriers to protect the land. It is also key to restore already degraded soils with reforestation projects, providing the necessary technical support to farmers and demanding that the state invest in conservation and environment in education programs. This is why it becomes an issue that we must address as a country. as it affects our economy system, it is not something that can be completely eliminated, but rather must be managed in the best way possible, applying the best techniques to prevent and avoid. We can conclude by saying that this is not a problem that affects only a few of us. It affects the whole country, and we are left with a reflection on caring for the planet and the soil together, because it is a basic resource for life. I would like to end with a quote: without soil, there is not harvest, and without harvest, there is not future.